Tonight's meeting, on our agenda tonight, before we start with the regular part of the meeting, we have two presentations. First one from Danielle O'Mara of Tobacco-Free Clinton County, Franklin, Essex County. Ms. O'Mara.
Hi, everyone.
One right up.
I've been to a few of these board meetings throughout Franklin and Essex now. It's always nice to meet new people. Donna's been wonderful communicating with me, and it's nice to meet everybody. I hope to keep this as condensed as possible, but I get very passionate about this topic because it affects so many of us. I grew up in a family where both my parents smoked. Out of 7 of us, 5 became smokers. I was one of the only ones who didn't become a smoker. And I find that simply amazing. So when I look and I work in this profession, I also look at how do we keep our kids safe? How do we keep the vulnerable safe? How do we keep our elders safe from secondhand smoke? There's a couple of things I'm going to share today, and I'm going to kind of condense down what they have written in front of them in the pamphlet, because that's just a lot of New York State data. That's a lot of stuff that just backs up a lot of why I do what I do. So one of the first things we get concerned about is what they call point of sale. Where is tobacco being sold in a community like Rouses Point? There might be a few that you know of. Pharmacies, convenience stores. Stewart's is a franchise that sells tobacco. And the other one, newest probably to this area, is the Dollar General. Of those 3 places, I typically will go in and observe what's going on. What am I looking at? As soon as you walk into a store and you go to the counter to pay, what's the first thing you see? It's often right back, it's the tobacco, what they call a power wall. The reason why this one is so concerning to me is that I became a mom later in life. And so now I have a 5-year-old that just got tall enough to look over that counter. And that is what she sees. Of course, she likes to see all the candy down below too, because that's more interesting. But enough to understand and realize what is all this up here. So kids are seeing this and it's become normal. And so there's a lot of things that go on in a convenience store. Is there sales, packaging sales going on? Is there promotions going on? Are there signs being displayed close to where kids can see, where they're picking up candy and the toys? Again, these are all things that make it normal for kids to see that tobacco is a normalized thing here. So kids see that. And when I think of the first statistic that I'll talk about, which is the average age of a new smoker in New York being 13, I can relate because, believe it or not, somehow, even though I say I was a non-smoker, I did experiment at the age of 13. Many times when you talk to smokers who are out there, they often will relate to that age. Why it's such a vulnerable age? It's no coincidence because big tobacco companies do spend billions of dollars marketing themselves to that age group. They want you at 9, 10, and 11, and 12 to be seeing that and noticing it, paying attention to it. So point of sale is a big deal. I've been in a couple communities now where these new Dollar Generals or the dollar stores, or whatever they are, depending on where you go, are popping up all over in little communities. Big tobacco is behind some of that. What I noticed, and if you don't know this, is that tobacco is probably, it is the most littered item out there. The new dollar store in Dannemora. I went there, just happened to stop in, had to get something real quick. When I came out, that was the one thing I saw littered all over the place. That's a new store. And that's the one thing I saw. And that kind of is upsetting. To me it is. I hope it is to you. The other one that I'll speak of is what we call tobacco-free outdoors. And as I was entering into your building, I noticed that you do have tobacco signs. So kudos to you guys for doing that. So what I'm not going to spend a lot of time sharing is because on that piece is more that, you guys have a policy right now that probably does not include e-cigarettes and vaping. As you have maybe noticed, is e-cigarettes have become very popular among young people. The statistics will show it. It sharply rose among young people. Big concern because there's still nicotine in those. So if you were looking at updating your policy to include e-cigarettes, if you felt that was important, we could do that with you. In your packet in particular, you have the document that says you're going to be interested in updating. If you go with tobacco-free Franklin, Essex, we provide free signage, so that you don't have to have the expense of that. So if you want to take a look at that possibility, there could be more places for you to want to put signs up. The other thing also that I recently went to was I had a presentation over in Champlain. And they are looking at getting signs up in their playground over there, but they were also talking about the trail, the walking, biking trail that connects Champlain and Rouses Point. And that's how it came to be that I wanted to come and talk to you guys. Because that is another place. Although we think the outdoors, it's wonderful, it's great, the fact is people will probably be smoking out there too. And so if there are signs available to you through us, we could at least have them posted in a few places. I don't know who exactly would be the person that would actually do a resolution or do that exactly. I'm not sure how the property all lays out between the two municipalities or the townships, but I'm sure it could get worked out. So signage is a big piece if you're interested in looking at that. The other piece is, if you didn't know, New York State recently went with the Clean Indoor Air Act, which was a few years ago. It did not include e-cigarettes and vaping, so now it does. So with that in mind, one of the things that we're coming about is what they call T21, where they're looking at changing the tobacco sales age from 18 to 21. And we're looking for support from people like you that would sign and just say, we are in support of this. Doesn't mean that you're signing over anything, it's just saying you're supporting it. We're still a long ways away from maybe not a long ways away, but we're working on it. There are 6 North Country counties that are working together to try to pass this. So that because if you notice, there are going to be more and more counties throughout New York State that will be heading in that direction. So Franklin County is working on it right now because I'm heading that one up. Clinton County is also doing some pretty good work. I know that it's been in the newspaper recently about their support, and also making in this I think it is in this town of Plattsburgh that they also did a TFO policy, so that there wasn't going to be any smoking on their grounds also. Beaches, parks, making that in. So there's a lot of, and actually, that's just one. I'm also working with Malone. They're doing a very similar thing, and Moira also did theirs. So the more the word is getting out there, the more people are getting the gist of why it's so important to keep our kids and vulnerable elders safe from that secondhand smoke that is just so, no other way of saying it, it can really affect people's health one way or another. Not only just people, if you have animals, it affects animals. And so, and that's one other reason why we stay tobacco-free in our home. So that is the gist of what I wanted to talk about, the 2 different types of initiatives that I work on specifically, and that's why I'm here, and then the T21. And again, the T21 information is the newest update, is on the left-hand side of your folder, and then if you were to sign in support, that would be in his packet, which states that you support that. And all that does is it just comes back to us, and then we send it off to Albany. Does anybody have any questions?
Board members, have any questions?
No, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, we'll certainly take this up as an agenda item, probably to discuss it in the coming weeks, and see what the board's feeling is about it. As you mentioned, we already have the entire recreational facility, including the trail and the exercise and material, and no smoking allowed here. We haven't really delved into some of the other things we talked about, like T21 or anything like that, but I know it's in the news.
Yeah.
I'm sure the town of Champlain will be interested. I mean, there's a village of Champlain, there's a village of Point, and then the township is what controls in between.
Right.
So there's certainly
Most of the new trails in the town.
Pardon me?
Most of the new trails in the town.
Most of it is. Yeah, most of that true.
And I'm going to keep making my rounds.
I'm sure you will.
I'm going to keep making my rounds. So if there's anything more I can support you with, I'd be glad to come back or be in touch with one of the board members to, just make a regular contact, whether email or phone. This is what I do, I come out and I support you guys in whatever choices you make. But I know they're good ones, because just to see those signs out there before I came in was it was a thumbs up for me. It was nice to see. So,
Yeah, they've been up for quite a while, a couple of years.
but again, they don't include e-cigarettes.
Yeah.
And if you have young people around, this is where it kind of gets into a little gray area for them, because it is a form of tobacco. And they're gonna try to tell you it's not, it's got less, it's this, it's that. No, there's statistics that say that that's not true. It may be, it's just as addictive. It's just as addictive. They're just trying to get around, they're trying to find a loophole to get more kids, and it's working. It's working. Hopefully with some of this information I'm sharing and the statistics you'll read in there, you'll find out more.
All right, well, thank you, we appreciate your passion and all the work you're doing for us, and we definitely will look through this stuff.
Okay.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, second presentation, Chief LeBlanc from the Rouses Point Volunteer Fire Department, going to address the board with some information, I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen. At our recent monthly meeting, our membership discussed our ladder truck that we have now. Right now, there's an issue with the ladder truck. It's burning oil quite severely, and we're not certain what is wrong with the truck. We've had John look at it, the village mechanic. He's talked to Peterbilt, and they gave him a couple things to try, some small things, and that hasn't worked. So right now, John's looking at exploring at pricing to see how much that would cost to fix if it needs to be fixed, what it would cost for a motor if that's what it is. We don't know how severe it is. So we discussed at our meeting the possibility of exploring to replace the truck using our money, Montgomery hose hook and ladder money, to replace the unit. At this point, that truck is a 1975, so it's 42 years old. At some point, you have to decide how much money you want to put into a unit that's that old. So we're weighing the options there to see how much it comes out. It could be a $500 bill, it could be $10,000, we don't know. I know a local department just had to replace one of their motors. It was almost $20,000 to replace that. Would we want to put $15,000 into a truck that we could sell for $10,000 max? Would be a good number. So at some point, you have to look at that. Right now, we came to you tonight to tell you that we would like to explore the option of purchasing on our own a replacement vehicle for that truck, and if we did that, we would donate that to the village at no cost to the village, and if that would be something that you would be in agreement with.
What, the ladder truck, what structures would you use that for in the village?
There are lots of structures in the village. You got all the Delegards property, you've got this property, Shazy Hardware, all the boat storage buildings, your municipal buildings, a sewer plant. You've got all the stuff down at PowerTex, VWR, all those buildings. You have the downtown block. There's multiple structures. There's plenty of two-story buildings in town. We use them on story-and-a-half buildings all the time. New construction with the trusses in it, with the prefab trusses, are a danger to the fire service. They fail under fire load quickly, so getting on a roof to ventilate is a lot safer using a ladder truck. So it's not just a big complex that's sitting on Maple Street. There's the school, there's just lots of buildings that we use that ladder truck for.
Chief, where is the nearest ladder truck to here?
The nearest ladder truck to here is in the city of Plattsburgh. St. Paul has a ladder truck that's 15, 20 miles north of the border. Besides that, the rest of the ladder trucks are the city of Plattsburgh, District 3 Fire Department, which is the mall, the area of the mall. So you're 30 miles away.
What were you looking at for equipment, new or used?
We would be buying something used.
Used.
Yeah. A ladder truck of that nature is $500,000 to $1 million to buy new. That's
Right.
nothing we would ever think of looking at.
South Plattsburgh bought one a year or two and it was $874,000.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know what the price of District 3's was, but you're up in that price range too.
Yeah.
Yeah, very expensive to buy new. The ladder truck we have currently, the one before that, were both purchased in the same way. The fire company purchased them and donated them to the village. The membership, our membership feels gives us a better safety factor having it, and we can protect the residents better having a ladder truck.
So, you guys have any questions, comments, questions?
No, I'd just like to be kept in the loop as you progress with which direction you're going and
Yeah,
kind of what your numbers are looking like and.
There's a truck right now that we're looking at, and they're asking $29,000 for it. It's a 1989 unit, so it's 14 years newer than what we have, has 20,000 miles on it. So that's kind of the direction we're looking at. We're looking in the $25,000, $30,000 range. We're not looking at $150,000 purchase.
It'd be about the same size as the one you have now?
It is 15 feet tall. It's a 105-foot ladder. But, I mean, as stuff got newer, it got bigger in stature, like any of the trucks. But
So from the board, what are you kind of looking for tonight from the board? Or is this just information?
It's informational, but we want to make sure if this is something that we do, that you're in improvement with it, that you would approve this and that you would accept the unit if we bought it and donated it to the village.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, hey,
Yeah.
you gotta have it, you gotta have it. I mean,
Yeah, well, first they gotta find out if they can fix the old one economically.
Where would the truck go next, the current one, where would it go next? Because Johnny's done a couple of things that haven't worked. Have you got a plan on who would look at it?
The next thing would be to bring it to Champlain Peterbilt, but then if they start exploring, how much is that? That's the question. They dig into it, it's over $100 an hour as they start looking at it, so how deep do you get?
But you're talking about possibly purchasing one for around 29,000, you said?
Correct.
And you think you could get 10,000 for this one?
Not in the state it's
Not
in.
with a bad motor.
No,
No.
you'd be, if you were to sell it, with a good motor, you'd be lucky to get 5,000, would be
Okay.
my guess.
But again, you're talking about a purchase by the company, like you've done before, and then donate it to the village.
Correct.
And then you take over the maintenance of it and the insurance of it. And
Correct.
and so it's really no increase in cost. It's the same, except we have a safer, better piece of equipment.
Newer, more updated piece of equipment, correct.
Okay.
And what would you do with the other truck?
Then it would be for the village to surplus it. It's your vehicle.
You get whatever you can out of it.
Yeah, get whatever you can, and if it would be in the board's agreement to put it towards the purchase of the truck, I mean, I can't imagine we would get a lot for it as it is. It's just what it is if the motor's bad in it.
Are you looking at sales from fire department dealer or from private fire departments? And I say private public.
Looking through fire truck brokers.
Brokers.
There's multiple fire truck broker websites,
Yeah.
and if you have a vehicle, you list it with them as a broker. They don't own them, they just
Are any of these
broker
brokers interested in a trade-in?
it. They don't actually own the trucks themselves.
Okay.
It's just like a real estate broker. They list it,
Gotcha.
and they get commission for selling.
Thank you.
well, I think you ought to give Mr. LeBlanc the go ahead and do what he thinks is right. And
I think, is the board generally in agreement that if the company buys another truck, that we certainly would accept that in the interest of, maintaining public safety, having a better piece of equipment. It wouldn't be any additional cost to village residents. We'd still be maintaining a truck like we do now and insuring a vehicle like we do now. It seems like it'll be a wash. Are we all pretty much in agreement with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, if we put the surplus truck up for sale, I think we'd like to give the fire department the money for it.
Yeah, to apply it to the
Right.
truck, yeah.
Who,
Exactly.
who's gonna be looking at interest rate? How do you, I guess, purchase a truck? Do they bring it here so you can look at it? So
We would have to travel to go see it, and the company approved spending the money out of their funds to go travel and see the truck, or a truck.
Would you pay for our village, we can't go with you?
that's what I was just gonna,
He's the man that's gonna have to work on
He's
it.
free to ride, but if we go, we're going on Friday and may not come back till Saturday. So however that works out with,
We did that for your last truck.
correct, we
We
sent
did
them down,
overnight-
yes,
We
we
did
went,
overnight for your last truck. and
Yeah.
we should send them, I mean,
it's-
it's in our best interest also to send our mechanic.
I mean, I don't want
For
to
your
step,
guys' sake and for our.
I don't want to step on any toes.
No,
but,
absolutely, because
you
I
know,
feel much better about that, because that's a trained set of eyes looking at it. The last
I
truck,
didn't know if you had a trained set of eyes within the fire department.
well, not to his level.
Not to his
for
level.
mechanical, yeah. So,
That's
I
why
think
we have
Johnny
it.
ought to be going.
That's why we have it. And so,
the last truck, we went down and took a look at it first, the engine we bought last year, and when we thought it was good, we asked him to go down and look at it
Yeah.
a week or so later.
Yeah.
So that's-
so we have, you know, we have the funds available to fund his travel if they find the truck
That's fine.
needs to be evaluated. So. All right, so I think you have the board's agreement to proceed, keep us in the loop, and we've also agreed that if it does come to that and you're able to surplus that truck for some funds, you can apply those funds to purchase of the new truck. And thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate all you do for the village.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, with the fire department, we're losing two good day firemen. One person is moving to Plattsburgh and the other one is moving to Indiana. So we're losing two good day firemen.
Do they also have any EMT duties?
You
You say they're firemen, but were they EMTs
Yeah, a
also?
little bit.
Well, they're not EMTs, but they did drive the ambulance and help them back.
So you're losing a couple drivers.
Yeah, besides.
And helpers, yeah.
Sometimes that's a problem, correct?
Absolutely.
All right, again, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is you all should have a copy of minutes of the previous meeting, August 7th, that I'm sure you've probably already reviewed. If not, take a minute. If you have it, like a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Make a motion to accept the minutes?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next thing you have are the bills. And Madam Assistant Treasurer, are there any additions or deletions?
No.
Thank you.
Make a motion the bills be paid.
Second?
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Madam Clerk, do we have any correspondence?
No correspondence this evening.
Thank you. Okay, the first item on our agenda is a resolution appointing trustee Arno as the delegate for the MEUA meeting to be held in Saratoga Springs, September 19th and 22nd. So I would need a motion designating trustee Arno as that delegate.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Trustee Arno, I'm sure you'll represent us positively. The next thing we have is a budget resolution. This is money that we will be using to send the water plant operator to get his certification. That is our trainee right now. We were hoping that there was going to be a class at Clinton Community College, but they've not been able to offer it. So this training will involve 2 weeks in Morrisville, New York. Is that correct?
Down near Buffalo.
Yeah, Morrisville. I think that's where.
Morrisville's out by Ogdensburg.
I thought he was going
He's going to Buffalo, out to a town in London. The one in Morrisville
Okay.
is not available until next year.
so he's going to be going for 2 weeks without coming home. He's going to be out there for that whole time. So we need this budget modification resolution. So whereas the Board of Trustees deems it advisable to make certain modifications, be therefore resolved that the treasurer is authorized director to make the following modifications to the village budget for fiscal year 2017-2018 for water administration, schools, and training, $3,100. I need a motion to accept this, or to pass this resolution.
I make a motion to pass the resolution.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Discussion. Okay, trustee Arno,
Aye.
trustee Dart,
Aye.
trustee Batha.
Aye.
Trustee Menard.
Aye.
Motion's carried, thank you. Okay, our public works maintenance person at the last meeting, we agreed to advertise in many places as possible. We received one additional, no, it's two now. It'll be two. We got that one, but we have one who's been qualified by civil service, And we have a second individual who we believe has the qualifications, however, the application he didn't put all of his credentials on that application. Hence, civil service didn't certify him as being eligible. The experience he has involves extensive sidewalk work, installed sewers, things that match up with what the minimum qualifications are. So our clerk has worked with him, and as she will, anyone that calls in and asks questions. He's also contacted civil service, and this individual intends to submit his application prior to the deadline on Friday. So that would make 2 individuals that would be qualified. At the present time, though, we only have 1 that civil service qualified. Hopefully, we'll have 2, so we can have interviews of 2 individuals, see who we come up with. So that's where we are on that. Any other questions about that? Okay. The water plant rehab project. Well, I received a copy of an email, or I received it from our professional engineer, AES. She was forwarding an email from the Public Health Department where they asked for certain things that they needed. She hasn't composed a formal response because she is out of the office until Monday, August 28th, 1 week from today. But if I would give you a quick synopsis of what was in here, our Public Works Supervisor, Mr. Bucky, also was included on the distribution of this email, as well as was our Chief Water Plant Operator, Mr. Jelena. So this comes from Stephen Marshall, who's the Chief Residential Sanitation Section, New York State Department of Health, Bureau of Water Supply Protection in Albany, with John Canosa, the representative here in Clinton County. So first, as we probably knew, the plans need to be stamped and signed by a professional engineer, who Jennifer Weeks, our engineer, is. And there needs to be 3 sets submitted for final approval. They need to add more labels to the plan, components, pump types, to match specification sections pipe. They want to see that on the plans. They want more detail on the chemical feed skid. They list specific plan sheets that have to be revised. And they want to have a detail of the proposed skid mount system showing the feed pumps, tubing, stuff like that. They question whether the existing dry well has been inspected for structural integrity, stress joints, age issues. They mentioned the spring flooding in 2011 impacted the water plant, and subsequent investigation found the western portion of the building floor to have subfloor voids. They want to know if similar issues exist in the wet well structure. Again, our project manager, Mr. Palkey, will be, I think he's going to be addressing this issue, letting them know what the situation is. Is the condition capacity of the existing raw water intake sufficient to handle the new wet well design? Sure, the engineer will probably make a response to this based on our conversation with Mr. Pelkey. Will the proposed auto dialer also be connected to the remotely located village water tower where secondary chlorination occurs? Will any other types of emerging incidents at the plant, spike in raw or finished turbidity, switch to backup power, be tied to the auto dialer? So they're asking for more than just the chlorine issue. Conversion of dry well to wet well includes some confined space and entry work, and they want to make sure we have the permits, which we always have, prior to any of our employees going into confined space. Those are always prepared. They also want us to complete a new O&M manual before all of the proposed upgrades are completed. They specifically say with the elimination of the night shift, it is essential that the O&M manual be completed, revised as needed, and tested to ensure the proposed operational scheme will be successful. Once the upgrades are completed and the plant is back online, the third shift should remain manned for 2 to 3 weeks to ensure the shift can actually be eliminated without issue. Upon completion of the upgrades and 2 or 3 weeks of manned third shift operation, the village shall submit a formal request to the State Department of Health to eliminate the third shift. Unmanned operations of the water treatment plant should not occur until specifically approved by them. And they'd like to know what the short and long-term plans for the Adams filters are. So, obviously, the health department is moving forward on this. This was dated August 14th. And we were not aware, I wasn't, and I know Mr. Pelkey wasn't, because he tried to contact Ms. Weeks yesterday, last week, or today. And of course, he wasn't there, and we went over this email, and that's what we got. So we should look for something a little bit farther along in the week, at the beginning of next week.
So we should have a report by next meeting.
We should have. She should have submitted that information. She said she'd be preparing a response, so if she does it in the first week and a half, she should have something there. Okay, there was a couple issues about the water plant that we discussed last time, and I know Tom had asked about the testing, and we cited some of them. I just wanted to make sure that we had a full picture. According to our chief plant, water plant, treatment plant operator, the state law requires us to perform a large number of tests, including turbidity, chlorine, pH, temperature, on both the raw, untreated water and the finished treated water in our lab every 4 hours while the system is online. We do chlorine checks at the tower inlet and outlet and at the village garage and here at the main office bathroom each day, keep track of how much chlorine is reaching various parts of the distribution system. We do the same test as in the first entry here at different locations in the village once per day as required by the state. And it goes on to mention things that happen tri-monthly like you did. So this is just a little bit more information that, we pass along to you. And this is strictly for your guys' information. I made a copy of the logs of when they use the vehicle. They have to log it every time they drive it. So just for you to peruse, you and Trustee Arnold, it just tells you where they're going and each day and what they're doing. And it's just something for you to examine a little further, and if you have any more questions about it, we can look into it farther. So I hope that information is helpful to you. And I think, within the next few months, again, we should be looking at some real big progress. We're stalled as far as doing any additional work at the water treatment plant right now, based on that email correspondence. So we will move forward as soon as possible. Okay, last thing. It's that time of year we need to start advertising for a seasonal, full-time seasonal recreation center worker. Position will run from September 18th to March 18th. That's September 18th, 2017, March 18th. 2018 6-month period. Starting on the 18th, getting familiarized with what's going on. The individual who was here last year will not be returning. So 2 days of preparation. They're going to start making ice on September 20th. It takes about 12 working days. They do about 40 to 50 layers of ice. They need 1.25 inches before Zamboni go on it. Of course, they need to paint it. Takes 4 men to do the layers of ice. So they're pulling 200 feet of hose, and they tried it with 3. Doesn't work. And as you know, besides the part-time seasonal worker, we use another one of our laborers, one of the other departments, brings down here. So what we need is a motion to have the village clerk advertise for a full-time seasonal recreation maintenance worker from the dates mentioned. I believe you pulled last year's, or you're in the process of you pulled last year's advertising, and we'll do it the same way. Did it mention the salary last year in it?
It did.
It did. So we'll update it with, because the salary will be more this year for the 3% raise, I think. So could I have that, a motion that we get
I so move on the motion to hire
advertise? have her advertised for.
or have her advertised for a person.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion's carried. All right, I'll turn it over to trustee Arnold.
I only got a couple things.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to thank Eric and Jason for putting up the dog waste stations.
It looks nice.
They look nice out there and stuff, and they got them all up. And I didn't get a chance to go up to Moore's Lawn and Garden to get a couple shrubs to change down here. Gonna put all green shrubs down here instead. I got a couple flowered ones instead, because they didn't have enough, the other shrubbery. So, or the other,
The evergreens, right?
evergreens,
Yeah.
yes. And also, I didn't, I was gone 3 days last week, and I didn't get a chance to do the Amy Gallagher dirt down there, bring some more dirt down there and stuff. I wanna fix that up, because it's got some big ruts in it and stuff, and I'm gonna do it myself.
Well, Ms. Puffy, did you get that email that I sent you asking for, have your guys contact, have your guys contact trustee Arnold where they needed dirt and stuff?
About the fence?
I said,
About repairing a fence, it's the only email I received from you.
oh, it also said it needed some spots filled in and wanted your equipment and that, so he'll show you where it has to be in and then show you what, I mean, you certainly can do that, I mean, with
Yeah.
skid steer if you want, but, Brian's on board with what's going on with that, so.
Okay,
Okay?
yep.
And didn't, you also mentioned, they put up the, message board too?
Yes, yes, oh yeah, that looks really good too, the message board out here for the walkway and stuff, that was really nice.
We don't have anything in it, our recreation director is making, there's
Right,
a map.
Matt,
that's being put on
to
there.
take the whole thing and
Yeah.
tell you what's going on and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and even the events and stuff like that, they can put in there, I guess, to the stage committee, she said, yeah. So, and also I'd like to ask, Mr. Palkey about, I've been walking around the village and stuff, and before winter time, you take and have the couple guys go around and trim the trees, do you, for the sidewalk thaw and stuff?
Yes.
Oh,
We've been
okay.
trimming them, line crew has been out trimming them when
Oh,
they're
okay.
moving around the transformers.
Yeah.
If there's a few others that they missed, just let me know.
Yeah, because there's some that I'm walking and they come right to here on me, stuff like that, hit me right in the chest, so,
Okay.
you know, and I'm sure it wouldn't do any good for the sidewalk problem,
No.
so. Okay, and also, seeing that Mr. Dart has done his paperwork on the hiring of a new person, and he's not doing it anymore, I think we ought to do is, a different plan is look to hiring a person for 20 hours a week. This way we don't have to go through civil service or nothing like that, and we need somebody else in that office. And I think it'd be wise of us to take and go with 20 hours a week. And if that person can do it, and if not, then we'll have to come up with a different resolution or a different priority or whatever.
Just to elaborate a little more on what trustee Arno was saying, this last phase of the project got me to the point where I don't know the inner workings down there. I don't know who does what. Everyone down there would be reluctant to take on much more work than they do. So I wasn't gonna be part of saying, okay, this one could be done by the clerk, this one could be done by deputy treasurer, this could be done by whoever. And I think those decisions ought to be made by someone within the office down there and not by a trustee. I believe that I've probably gone far, or just as far, if not further on trying to develop this new position than any other trustee has. And I just think it's time to turn it back over to the mayor's office.
I think the job is ultimately gonna require more than 20 hours a week. But there is an advantage of doing it this way, is that we can
Tell a person,
we can get someone on board faster. Then we can evaluate that person and see if we want to upgrade them to 40 hours at a later date, maybe after 6 months or so. I know you gotta go through,
You can't do that. They have to come off it's a competitive position. If you go to full-time, you have to go to the list. If that person's not on the list, they're not eligible for consideration. That's the problem,
Right. Yeah, I know that.
you know?
But I
mean,
think-
but that can't work, what you're saying, obviously, we can hire somebody for 20 hours, but we can't then upgrade that person to 40 hours. It just, and I'm gonna check with her. You are in contact with civil service. Is that the way you understand, that's the way you explained it to me?
It depends what the position is, but that is correct.
Okay.
With our administrator working 30 hours, I know she worked some days more than 30, some weeks more than 30 hours, but she worked she worked a period of a few months at 30 hours, and she had that swinging door policy with half a dozen or so employees always going in her office.
I don't know if we should be discussing a work performance in open session.
So we've
Okay, so
taken
let's not do
that,
Let's not do that.
we've taken the factor out of there, and so, you know, how many hours would that take? And I think 20 hours works.
What are you're basing the fact that you think 20 hours works, when you just said you don't know what everybody does down there? How can you come up with a number like this? Just pick it out of the air?
Just a feeling, that's all. You can ask Ben the same question. How do you pick it?
Yeah, I think 20 hours is be good for the person to start in and stuff like that, and if not, well, then we'll have to go a different route. I mean, you know, there's probably 4 or 5, probably 10 different things that she or he has to do or whatever. But that, at least we could tell them, instead of civil service telling them, at least we could tell them what we want it done. That's the way I look at it. I mean, I don't know how everybody else feels, but
I'm gonna have to ask our clerk, are there any parameters that we have to remain within to do this? If the board wants to just hire a person for 20 hours to do something,
It depends what they're talking about as
Yeah.
far as the position. It still falls under civil service. Even if they're part-time or full-time, it just depends on how you hire them as off of an eligibility list or a non-eligibility list. If you decide that you want to hire a typist and they're part-time, they're still civil service. And they still have to fall within the job description of civil service, and they have to be approved through civil service as far as if they're qualified. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go off of an eligibility list. You could hire just whoever you want, but you have to decide what position you want. You have to decide what this person is going to do and what the title is going to be. And it still has to go through civil service,
even at 20 hours.
even at 20 hours.
So, just make sure that we all have this straight. So, if we don't have to go off of a list.
It depends
We
what
could
the
just
job is.
advertise for a position, but it would have to be a position that's defined in civil service?
The board has to decide what they want this person to do.
Right.
And we're governed by civil service for positions. And I'll give you an example. We have part-time employees that are library pages. They're civil service, so that it's based on the job description for civil service, and when those people apply, their applications had to be approved by civil service as being qualified.
What if we create a job or a job title that's not within civil service? Like, civil service doesn't have a definition of an administrator. We did that.
Correct.
the Village of Ross Point is
The
that.
Village of Rouses Point did
That's in our
that.
code,
So
yes.
if we
Well, we
created
can
a
change
title
that.
that's not within that list,
There's still civil service jobs, because we are a municipality, we're governed by civil service. So whether it's 10 hours a week or 40 hours a week, civil service has to approve those job duties and put a title to it, a job description to it and a title. And those people applying have to be qualified through civil service. So the starting point is
So
you have to decide.
what is the sense of then having a list then?
If you're full-time competitive, if you're looking for a full-time competitive, I'll give you an example, a senior typist, and you want them full-time, that's a competitive appointment, and there's a list for that people take a test for.
Right,
So
I
you
have the list.
Correct. So if you want a part-time senior typist, you don't have to hire off of the list, but there's still civil service. It's
That's like we
still,
did with your.
that's what you did
when we
with
did
me.
her position, we took a 20-hour senior typist, and
And
those,
20 hours
she
clerk.
added those duties from the.
For the
city.
clerk.
Besides the clerk. She
Right.
does all the clerk's duties, and she does senior typist duties because they were different than the clerks. So that's what she's saying, regardless of, if you do for 20 hours, you're still gonna have to do it as a position. If you hire a 20-hour administrative assistant, then that person can do the administrative assistant duties and not others. So, you know, that, if you guys wanna try to do that, I think you gotta look at the duties
We can
pretty
modify
carefully,
the
and see
Administrator
how that works.
down to 20 hours.
What was that, Dale?
I said, or we could modify our administrator position down to 20 hours. And then it's not civil service, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, civil service does not have an administrative.
Doesn't have an administrator.
That's right, they don't have it, yeah.
So if you use that position description
Mhm.
and did it for 20 hours or 25 hours, 25 would still be part-time, up to 30, right?
Up to 30 for the village.
Yeah.
Yes. So 29 hours or less is part-time for the village.
And we could advertise that, and the duties are already defined, and it could be, but it would be for whatever number of hours you wanted to start doing it with.
Well, if we can go up to 29, we might as well go to 29 instead of 20 then.
And that's, but then you have to decide if there's gonna be no benefits. All we'd have to decide all this stuff is.
Right,
And
yeah.
get that straightened up, but that would be one way of doing it, using that description, because the civil service has told me and trustee Dart, trustee Bath, that they do not have an administrator position. They have a copy of our list of duties, and, you know, that's, but if we name the position administrator,
Well, like I said, we gotta do something, one way or another.
we
We
do,
gotta do something.
we do.
So, I mean, you know, he's been fooling around with this for the last month and a half and stuff, and we haven't gotten nowhere yet. And I think it's about time we put our foot down and say, listen, we gotta have somebody in this position.
So would
Or
you
whatever.
like to advertise for an administrator 29 hours a week?
If that's what the rest of the board thinks, yeah.
I think we should look at more like maybe 24 hours, either 3 8-hour days or
Yep.
4 6
Okay.
hour days.
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to see what can be absorbed through our present employees before we set a number on it?
We've talked, the clerk and I have talked quite a bit, and the treasurer, and they're doing those duties now, but they don't intend to keep doing them because we need to get somebody in here, so there's not gonna be any absorption, this person's gonna do the duties. Now, I think we can remove the supervision of department heads off that.
Right.
Off that.
Yeah,
Right, I
We
think
can go
that's
through
what
it
we
and
need.
remove some of the supervisory duties.
We need to modify
You
the
know, I mean,
administrator.
you can do that, but not the things where, you know, they still need to be the point of contact, the central point of contact for different things. But, you know, it's.
Oh, yeah, for legal stuff and stuff like that, whatever, or personnel stuff, or,
Discipline,
yeah, but, still, the personnel guys should take care of some of that personnel stuff.
well,
Mr. Batha and Mr. Dart.
I know that a particular personnel issue that we will talk about in executive session tonight, because it involves work issue of a particular person. The clerk today didn't intend to, but ended up, how much of your day was spent on that?
On one employee, about 5 hours, and on the second employee, it was over 2. So I
So
did strictly
it's not,
personnel.
it's not something you can just, you know, do. You need somebody with some expertise, and I think the expertise, we don't have the historical, you know,
Well, they gotta learn like everybody else did. I mean,
no,
I'm
no,
sure,
that's what she's doing. I mean, she has to learn, so then
right,
it would go, I mean, and you gotta have someone that's gonna be there, not somebody who's gonna you know,
Well,
boards change, you know, everything's changing.
Yeah.
They stay there, they're always there, and that's why they have those duties, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but we gotta find somebody, I mean, you know, we can't let them do
So-
all the work.
So can we advertise for the administrator and then, in the meantime, change the duties that we're looking for? Or do you wanna change the duties first and then advertise for it?
We don't.
Well, like you said, we need to take out the supervisory, you know what I'm
I think you
saying?
sit down, if you're gonna go that route, sit down with the, you know, you said that you're gonna work out, sit down with the administrator's position and say, this is what we don't want in there and this is what we do want. And then work from there. I mean, you know, let's present that. But again, I don't know how big your employment pool is gonna be when you're trying to get someone to do that type of work without any benefits. It's gonna be pretty hard, I think. But that, and again,
Well,
that's out of the
We'll
air.
try, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
Have you had any luck reaching out to the mayor of Plattsburgh and seeing what he has, gonna have for, you know, just eliminated 4 full departments down there? And I gotta think there's gotta be some talented people in there that might be interested in a job within commuting distance of where they live,
They
to finish
would,
out their, you know, their retirement years and stuff if they have to.
they would want a commensurate salary.
Well, they might not, I don't know, I mean, yeah, they'd want it, but
Well, they're, like you say, they have a specialized, you know, they're not, the city of Plattsburgh has a full-time mayor like that, you know, but they have like an HR position, department head, an engineer,
yeah.
recreation department person, one of those, I don't know if they, I talked to them at the shared services meeting, you know, and it was still up in the air at that point, so, but again, I would expect that they would want full-time positions, like you say, finish their retirement with benefits. So you'd be right back to where we were. You'd be looking at, you know, an administrator.
Which doesn't work in this village.
He's worked for 30-plus
It
years.
hasn't worked at all for 30 years.
Well, it's not working without one, I'll tell you that.
Well, we gotta try something. That's the way I look at it.
Come up with a plan.
Isn't that the mayor's job?
Actually, the mayor feels like we need an administrator. That's my position right here, hired administrator.
Which that hasn't changed since day one.
Right.
And because there's no other position that you can come up with that will fill those duties. That's why what Trustee Menard suggested is take that position description and put it out there, maybe massage it a little bit and put that out there, but call it an administrator. But I don't think you're gonna do it in a part-time manner. I mean, you could try, but, you know, you do it the same way, advertise for a full-time position with benefits and you'll get some interest, but when someone sees a list of duties, they're gonna go, well, but, I mean, do it, put it together and we'll bring it before the board and we'll see, this is what we're gonna advertise, we wanna advertise this. We can do it, we can have a, you know, a special meeting if you do it sooner, whatever you want, that's the way I see it. I mean, from my viewpoint, seeing what goes on down there and being involved in it, that's the best solution. And, you know, again, what's right in my mind, obviously, you know, Trustee Bassett feels differently, you feel differently, you all do. And I respect that, that's why I say, come up with an alternative, I think that's an excellent one we came up with. Use that position description. And, you know, make a decision about how many
Well,
hours.
didn't we
you
try
think
that
you-
already?
Pardon me?
Didn't we try that already?
No?
No, never.
No, I mean, a full-time one?
Right, we want it
We had
part,
a,
Yeah.
we're gonna do part-time and we're gonna change the
Descriptions of,
description of what an administrator does.
I don't know, I think that somewhere along the line, the workload has got to be reduced in here, We've got 2 full less departments than we had 6 months ago.
Well, that's
We've
what I'm
got
saying.
probably
Let's
10 less
do a part-time
employees than we
division.
had at the peak 10 years ago. Somehow, unless the bureaucracy is just ginning up more and more stuff, it's gotta be
Yeah.
scaling down. The village is scaling down. We have less
Yeah,
people
we're
living
not-
here, we got less.
We're not
buildings and stuff.
manufacturing nothing, or doing this,
No,
or
it's
doing
just we're not
that.
making the water we used to make.
It doesn't change the municipal laws. I mean, you know, like you say, the bureaucracy has ratcheted up quite a bit. And, you know, everything, look at replacing some pipes and a pump. What this is going through. I mean, we're replacing pumps and pipes. And look at the bureaucratic mess we have with that, and how much time we've gone through it, and how much effort went through to get the funding for it. I mean, every item, every day the phone rings, I see our clerk, when she's getting ready to do, she got a list, I'm gonna do these 8 things today. Starts on 1, the phone rings, or somebody walks in, or she gets an email, and she's, okay, this has gotta be done, this has gotta be done now. Spends time on that, then back to the list, whoop, something else, this gotta be done. It's not like you could say, you know, today, we're gonna do these duties. It doesn't work that way. It just, it doesn't. It's too dynamic. Things change every hour, something different comes up. And that's the problem that I see. Do you agree or not?
I read a report yesterday, the day before, about the infrastructure in the state and collapse. It's all old. Syracuse is all in trouble. There are these 100-year-old water pipes. We don't have any of that in this village. All our water pipes are new. All our sewer lines are pretty new. Our electric lines are all brand new. Our streets are all paved and up and running. We're just maintaining, all we need to do is maintain what we got, because we've made the big heavy lifts in the past to keep us up to date. We didn't let things go, like I can remember when I moved here, the village of Champlain had wooden water pipes in the French Village. That's where they had to come dig out from under. We're in good shape.
Our only big problem is the water plant.
Yeah, well, it's 60 years without being maintained.
No, it's about 10 years without being maintained. It was in perfect condition
When it was built.
15 years ago.
Well,
But I mean, the distribution system
I
is.
understand what you're saying, yeah. I mean, and when things break, they're fixed. We have a good village crew. They, you know, all the employees work hard and they get it done. Today, the power went out for 5 minutes. Okay, there was a little disconnect, things up, put it back there, 5 minutes. Well, I don't know how long it would take if you had to wait for the state to come in and do it, you know, so we have, you know, we have the wherewithal, but I mean, I think that's what you need to do. I really think that trustee Bernard has struck on a note that may, obviously we'll have the duties that need to be completed. And what do you think about this? We're trying to do something like that, where they would advertise for an administrator at, you know, 24 hours. I mean, you're doing a lot of stuff now, so that's why I'm asking you.
Right. It depends on the duties that they're gonna be tasked with. If they have the supervision taken away with them, it depends on the duties that they're gonna be tasked with. Personnel issues took up my entire day today.
All right, and that would be one of the things
That
that
would be
the
one of the
administrator
things that
would
they
do.
would have to do.
Right.
That's why any of us 4 board members couldn't determine what those duties are gonna be. We just can't. We don't know enough.
You've already got it written down. The ones that you deem superfluous for an administrator, and you have deemed some of them, cross them off. Say, we don't want it, we don't think that an administrator should do
Well,
that.
I'm not crossing anything, as I said there, I'm done with that, so.
So then we're stuck then. If the personnel committee is not, or whoever, the board doesn't want to come up with an alternative, then
What do you think, Don?
the alternative is hire an administrator.
I'm not in favor of administrators. I think they've been a disaster from day one. We've had about 2 or 3 good ones in 30 years.
So then where do we go?
Maybe we get a good one this time.
We haven't been able to get an administrative assistant to what civil service wants. We haven't been able to get a secretary or whatever we've been able, wanted to call it.
because we wanted them to do the duties that are on the administrator.
Right,
They were-
that's
no,
what I'm saying.
Those
We
are.
wanted them to do the clerical duties that are under the administrator. I consider a lot of those clerical duties. I mean, a lot of those things,
That's
we went
fine.
down that list and a lot of them were,
So,
they come up
so we
once in a while,
call
but
it, we still call it an administrator, and we give them the duty, we
You're gonna
change
set
the
the salary,
duties
you're
that,
gonna set the salary, you're gonna set.
and you're
the-
gonna set the duties. You're gonna get the same, basically administrative assistant you want, but it's gonna be called an administrator. You're gonna kind of bypass civil service.
Oh, civil service doesn't have an administrative position.
Right,
If you
that's
say
what I'm
we're
saying.
Gonna advertise for an administrative position, and this is our list of duties for administrator.
Right. We have the list, so if we change the list, to cut it down, we cut it down to 24 hours, whatever. And,
Go from there.
right,
well, we can try that. One of the biggest problems is we can't get an exact list of what the administrator did.
Because there's.
We just, it's too nebulous. It just,
we don't have it in our bylaws or?
It's in the
No.
code,
In our
it's in the
code.
village code.
it's in the code, but it doesn't reflect what the job is. You can go back to it and you can point out something in it, well, this is happening or that's not happening.
Yeah, but the
You try
same
to-
thing doesn't happen every day.
Exactly.
Right, so
It's just,
one of these things might happen every 5 years or something, or whatever.
right.
Or,
That might
So
be
you-
extreme, but yeah.
well, yeah, it might be extreme, but
Couple
still.
times a
Changes
year
every
for
day.
5 minutes.
Couple
or
times a
something.
year, yeah.
It changes every day.
And so you try to write that up, and then all of a sudden you've made such a complex job description
Right,
that nobody's eligible for it.
But you're gonna, if you use the existing administrator's position description and remove supervision of all departments, and leave the rest of it, and say, this is what we want you to do. It removes the supervisory element of it, and it says you have to do all the rest of it. This is what we're gonna advertise for.
It sounds to me, what we're looking for is an office manager.
No.
That's what it sounds like.
They have to be contacts they have to be, gather the legal information, put it together, give it to the attorney. They have to maintain a relationship with all the political offices. They have, they're the point of contact, the people that, if Assemblyman office wants to call, they know that he or she's a point of contact. If the Senator's office want to call, he or she is, they need to know what grants are out there, they need to know, what the regulations are regarding whatever municipal item we're dealing with. And they get that by calling and asking and learning, and like you say, you gotta learn the job.
Well, yeah,
It's that simple.
you learn the job, yeah. I mean, not everybody knows.
And you can call it whatever you want, Tom. You can call it an office manager,